Welcome to Black Tea, everyone. I am your host, Michelle Lawrence, and you are watching an interview series that is all about Black women in advertising, presented by Muse by Clio. Today, I am joined by the magnificent Kami DeMund. I am so thrilled to have her here with us today. When I was considering getting into advertising, she was one of the first people to tell me, you know what? That sounds like you can totally do it. You should totally do it. So I'm so pleased to be here with her all these years later. Kami DeMund.
Yes.
Hey.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I feel like I had no idea, like you remembered that.
I mean, come on. That was a gem in my life. I'll never forget
So
it.
long ago. It feels so long ago. My gosh.
I mean, it was. It really was. No. So tell the people what you do and where you're based.
Yep. So currently I'm based out in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been working in advertising all in all, going over a little bit over 6 years. Right now, my focus is on media planning. I'm currently working at OMD. I'm based out in LA. So working remotely because I'm living in Georgia. And yeah, I've been doing media strategy for about 4 years. And then prior to that, I was in project management and creative at a creative advertising agency. So yeah, more or less 6 years.
6 years. And with this really epic, beautiful hiatus in the middle that we are definitely going to touch upon later in the interview, because, you know, people, I feel like it's so brave that you took that hiatus. And I know that it's something that a lot of people do when they're kind of wrapped in privilege. But I think people who are not don't usually think that they can take that leap of faith and do that.
Absolutely.
And so actually, why don't we just start with that now then? Because I'm already there. Give people a little bit of a insight into like what you did, why, and how that works.
So going back to my 6 years of experience, the first 4 years was great. But after the fourth year, I went on this hiatus. I decided I was going to move to Spain. And basically what it was just a break, mentally, emotionally. I just was not feeling my best self, 2016. And literally what it came down to it, one of my friends invited me to a trip to Europe and in early 2017. And we went to Prague and Amsterdam, and it was like my first real time in Europe like that. And I just had just an amazing time. It was such an uplifting moment for me because again, like I was just going through it in 2016. And so what happened during that trip is one of my friends was like, hey, how cool would it be to like live out here, like live in Europe? And it was just like, yeah, it'd be so cool. And it just stuck with me when I got back home. You know, it just really stuck like, yeah, like why don't you just go to Europe? Like do that, like figure that out. Mm-hmm. And what it really boiled down to it, just like Googling like how to move across seas. And long story short, I moved out to Spain in 2018. I lived there for 2 years. So I left to come back to Atlanta last year. So obviously in the midst of COVID. But my 2 years out there was amazing. I did a lot of just thinking and self-reflection, and all the while like just learning and embracing a new culture. So it was a leap of faith because yes, I am not wrapped in privilege. Yes, I had to save up. Yes, it was hard. No, I don't know Spanish. All the things that like would have definitely made me look crazy to move out there. Again, not knowing anyone, not knowing the language, not ever even been to Spain, never stepped in Spain ever. But I decided to move my life, uproot myself and leave there. And I tell you, it was the best thing for me. And like coming back home now, I feel so more just rooted into myself and what I want in my life, in my career.
Yes. Oh, I love to hear that. And when you were out there, you didn't touch advertising at all, right?
Did not touch it. I didn't touch it. Yeah. But like let me also be a little transparent. I did not touch it. However, it's not to say that I didn't go out seeking agencies out there. I did like send out my CV. They call it CV out there versus resume. But it was really, really hard to get through those doors because there's just so much red tape when you're not a citizen of that country. It's just so much. And it's like to the point where like I don't even blame them for not like responding back to my multiple messages that I was reaching out to these agencies, because I was curious about like what's ad like across scenes, like how cool is that it be to like just have that exposure and that experience. But it wasn't in my cards. I guess the universe was like, no, like you are let advertising just be for the States and really enjoy your time. So yeah, I didn't touch it, but I did seek out for it though.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it turned out for the best. You're able to come back into the industry with this kind of refreshed perspective. And that's something that is really valuable. But also, you know, Spain agencies, y'all could have had a real one and you messed up.
Thank you.
Just tell y'all that. Okay, let's flash back even more. I want to know like how you found advertising in the first place. How'd you get into it?
Yes, that's a really good one. So in West Georgia, there was like an advertising 101 class, and I just really like fell in love with it. I was like, this is so cool, like to understand like why the reason why we watch this placement, like why are things placed the way they are, why are there these colors the way are, why these texts, you know what I mean? Just all the nuances of what goes into creating an advertising and then to a creative. I was just really interested. And so it kind of stuck with me, and luckily there was an advertising club like forming up at West Georgia, so I was like, you know, it's my last year and I wasn't very active on campus, so I was like, this might be a good opportunity to like have exposure to more advertising. So long story short, I get into the group. One of my professors actually at the time, his son was like a creative director at BBDO. Yeah. And so, which is, you know, a well-known creative agency in Atlanta. And so we set it up with our teachers, like, hey, can your son give us like a tour of the agency by any chance? And like, yep, the son set it up for us. We had like a whole day, well, not a whole day, but like at least a couple of hours at BBDO agency. And like they went through all their work and they showed us the agency, and it was just so like really cool, especially being young. You're like, oh my God, like everyone seems so laid back and casual and like very like progressive, like, and you know, like a very like liberal energy. And, you know, I just remember thinking like, this is so cool, especially coming from Carrollton, which is the
it's not like those Capitol field trips that we used to do. And like,
exactly,
like everybody has to find a blazer from somewhere. You know, it's like, oh, we can be chill in the office.
It was right, incredibly relaxed. And at the time, the agency had like all like this graffiti tagged inside of it, so it just looked really like urban, kind of, if you will. Yeah. It was dope at the time, but now it's like in hindsight, like how cheesy that was.
They all have a ping pong table. They all
it was the ping pong table. It was the ping pong table that caught my eye. You're right. And that coffee maker, like, oh my God, that's like an industrial coffee maker. What is this place? But so yeah, so after that, I was really that stuck with me. And so after I graduated, I fell into one of those pyramid schemes. I'm not gonna lie. And then until I realized I didn't know it was a pyramid scheme until I realized like 3 months later, like, yo, like this is a pyramid scheme. That's how to get you. Anyways, so I quit that job and like kind of was like back at square one after graduation. And I was like, yo, what about BBDO? Like, I really, really like that place. Like, I don't know. I was like doubting myself, you know, like almost imposter syndrome kind of came over me before I even like applied. You know, I'm like, I can't do that. Like, that was just too cool. Like, I don't have that background. But I went for it. They were looking for interns, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna apply and see what happens. I don't know. And sure enough, I got a call back that day, or not that day, but shortly after, I got an interview and got hired that day. And the rest was history, honestly. Yeah. Advertising. The rest was history. I started off an intern, and then I worked my way up to become an associate project manager, got promoted to be a project manager. And then after that, that's when I pivot and started going to media strategy.
Mm-hmm. And then back and told another Black girl like me, hey, you can do this industry. It is not scary. Yep. Get in here, get in the mix. I think that is so key because we can talk ourselves out of anything. And so that's so awesome that you were like, I hear you, imposter syndrome. Yep. Interesting argument. However, I'm going to apply for this role. And I think that's dope.
Exactly.
So you've been in project management, you're currently in media, in the media department. If you had to work in another department in advertising besides your own, what would it be and how come?
Yeah, I mean, I like and like in a fantasy world, I would love to be like a creative director because I love like I feel like it's like very like how artistic like are you? Like, you know, you're actually making artwork. And I think that is so beautiful. I know there's obviously like parameters and restrictions, like you can't
No, not
do.
in the what if world. We're just skipping that. The dream
Well,
department.
I tell you, I tell you what department I admire the most are actually the creative directors. I think there's just something so cool about just being able to design. Like I just point blank period. And then also to bring creative to life from just a piece of paper of a brief and then just make it look so immaculate. I've seen some of the creatives like that I'm working on right now. I'm currently working for Apple TV Plus. So we get to see a lot of these new titles that are coming in and potential like artwork. And I'm just amazed by it because we focus on entertainment. So you just like get to see like all these celebrities and like you get to know like all these like really cool things that we're going to do and like how we're going to do it creatively. And I think that's just so dope.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that no, it's fun over here on the creative side. You know, it's grass isn't all green, but it is fun. And it's definitely, you know, the reason that I got into it was definitely that whole like, you know, wanting to transform an idea and see it in its full form. So that's just
In a real way.
really cool. Yeah. So I will give you that. That's true. All right. I want to talk a little bit about your experience in advertising as a Black woman. Is there a challenge that you can speak on that you've had to deal with specifically because you're a Black woman in this industry? And if so, how did you manage it? And feel free to be like as vague as you need to be to kind of protect your coin and, you know, whatever. But let's talk about how you manage that challenge and if you would do anything differently in hindsight.
Yeah, in particular comes into mind. Right before I left to go to Spain, I was gifted a project. The strategy behind it was to target African American Hispanic markets. And really what it was is just like, we are low on funds and subscriptions. Let's reach out to the lowest hanging fruit. And just as a Black woman and a woman of color, it's just like, it's just like it felt like you're preying on the vulnerable. Yeah. And like that was a challenge for me. And it's just like, why does always AA always indicative of low housing income? You know what I mean? And like that's like that was definitely like probably the biggest challenge, is just feeling like, you know, targeting, I would say, my community as almost less than, you know what I mean? Like we're outside of the general market. And even talking it out loud, I still don't know how to completely tackle that. But in hindsight, I feel like I should have probably said some more at the time when I was on that project. However, like in my mind, I'm going to Spain. Like, see, this is like, it was one of those, like, this is why I'm leaving. Like, this ain't cool. Like, I'm not going to rebuttal because I know I'm leaving. You know, one of those things. But it's like, in hindsight, I wish I would have said something, because like, that type of ideology it just didn't resonate well in my spirit. And yeah, we're not low hanging fruit, you know, we're not low hanging fruit, as basically kind of like the argument. So yeah, but in hindsight, I wish I would have said something. Do I know exactly what? No, but should have said something. Just opened my mouth and said something, because yeah, it's not cool.
Yeah, it's not cool, but it's also not easy. And you know, shouldn't fall to you as a PM at the time to be the one to have the insight and say, you know, hey, this is a little bit, you know, shysty. So
yeah,
that's unfortunate, but unfortunately it happens, you know, just all too often in this industry. But you know, we're gonna keep it pushing.
Yeah. I'll say this to end it on a better note. The agency that I'm with now, OMD, definitely there's no at least I haven't faced any like struggles with that, where in terms of like, let's target like this race versus this other race. You know, it's like kind of like, it's more inclusive.
What is your biggest hope for the future of creativity and for the future of advertising?
I think my biggest hope is like I would love to see just more diversity spaces. You know what I mean? Like at least my former agencies that I've worked in the past have just been just all white, just
Yeah.
all white.
I mean, most of the industry.
Yeah, I mean, really, truly, most of the industry is all white, and so I think what would be best, what I like to see, is just more people like who look like you know what I mean, in creative director roles and more in art director roles, more people who look like me, you know, in strategy, and I just feel like with our knowledge and like just the inherence of our drip, you know what I mean, would only make this world advertising so much better. And I think that could come in and look in a lot of different like ways. But I would the main thing I would love just diversity in these spaces, and not necessarily being like this is an effort or a push for a specific like objective. You know what I mean? Like and,
Right.
like you know, it's just
Check
is like
boxes,
it's just is.
not to look
It's
good during Black Lives Matter summer.
right. This is not for Black History Month. Like this is not
Exactly.
there's no another there's not an initiative other than like let's just make some dope shit.
But yeah, that's so real. You know, and it's I like the point of for the purpose of knowing that we have something to bring to the table, knowing
Yeah.
that you know, that diversity should be the standard because it works and because there are, you know, people like us who are as qualified, more qualified, you know, than our white male counterparts and who don't get looks. You know what I mean? It should be for that
Absolutely.
purpose, not for the purpose of, hey, look, we got one. We gotta, you know, we gotta.
Exactly. Nail on the
We've
head.
all been in that situation when you get hired and like suddenly like you're at the forefront of all the company photos. Like, what happened? Like, hire more of us, and then you won't have to do this. You won't have to do the strategic annual.
Yep. Exactly that.
Oh boy. So then I want to talk now about like your inspirations right now. Are there any like Black owned or just Black AF products that like you are all about right now?
So that's funny that you said that. As right now, I'm currently at a park. If you guys can't tell, you all can't tell. So right now, I actually have some girlfriends on the side.
You're just so woke. I love that. It's just like you noticed that you genderized and you corrected it, and I just want to say I'm in love with you because of that. That's just amazing. You're so amazing. All right, carry on. So you're in a park.
Yes. So yes, I'm at a park with a couple of girlfriends right now. Earlier we had some tacos, just like celebrating ourselves, just being Black and great, and like the weather's kind of decent for in Georgia today, so trying to take advantage of this. But we hired a henna artist, and her name is Crystal. She's a Black woman. She's doing all of our henna hands. Dope work, like dope work. I'm a huge fan already. I've seen some of her stuff now, and she's killing the game.
So I want to ask you a little bit about what you consider to be your greatest accomplishment. This can be career or otherwise, but I just feel like, you know, we all need to brag on ourselves sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Kind of going back to even just kind of not challenging my imposter syndrome, but just like allowing it to not make my decisions. You know what I mean? So like, again, thinking that I wasn't good enough to be able to even work in advertising. Probably one of my biggest accomplishments, because it like the rest is history almost. After I got hired. However, as of right now, I am incredibly grateful for being able to have that space of clarity and solitude 2 years worth in a whole country, and to come back and transition back into the agency life, and then also feel supported and seen from my coworkers, and then to work on such a dope ass account. The client that I'm working for is definitely gives me the opportunity to work on like more premium placements, and exposes me to like entertainment, which is, you know, kind of marriages my personal lifestyle. You know, I like entertainment, I like movies, I like TV shows. So again, just being able to transition in and out in a way that was only added to, in a way that's had added value to my resume and to my personal life, financially, emotionally, because again, you know, not having a job, you know, and COVID could just be so daunting. You're like, yo, like, first of all, I'm already trying to figure out who this Kami is after Spain, you know, post Spain, back into Georgia, and Georgia of all places during COVID, and then a Trump administration has been, you know, very challenging in itself. So to be able to, you know, getting back into kind of that field of familiarity that I do like, has been, at the top of my, it's been one of my best accomplishments. And I just feel, okay, a little bit more brag. I just do feel like I'm a dope ass person. Like, bitch, I live in Spain. Like, I live in Spain. Like, what you want? What else do you want? Like, what else more do you want?
Not a thing. I mean,
now I'm working at an agency based in LA. Like, I feel I'm blessed. I'm incredibly blessed, and I'm incredibly grateful.
Amazing. As always, I've enjoyed talking to you so much. I'm sure the internet is going to love you as much as I do. So proud of everything that you have achieved. And I can't wait to see what comes next as you keep on going. So this is dope. Everybody, this has been my interview with Kami DeMund. Please look her up, you know, check her out, and definitely catch more episodes of Black Tea at musebycleo.com/Black Tea. Thanks, everybody. Bye, kids.